Bonjour, 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 and welcome back to my channel, The Waves of Your Soul. Today's video is gonna be a sweet little tag. It's called the 5 Tarot Deck Challenge. I believe it's inspired by BookTube, and it was turned into a TarotTube tag by Cassandra from A Riffle in Time, so that's a VR to Cassandra. And it's just a short and sweet tag. It's sharing 5 tarot decks on different themes, have a little hangout together, talk about some decks I've been using or avoiding to use recently. At the moment of me filming, it's the end of November. I am deep into content creation for the end of the year. Super excited, but yeah, I wanted to do this sweet little tag as a little breath of fresh air to hang out with you guys. Of course, I'm gonna leave a link to Cassandra's channel down below, A Riffle in Time. Make sure to go check her out. Make sure to check out her shop because she has a shop that sells indie, oracle and tarot decks in the US. And let me tell you, if I was in America, you guys, I would be like, take my money, because she is stocking some really awesome decks. So make sure to go check her shop, make sure to go check her channel out, and if you do, tell her I say hi. And without further ado, let's get into it. I'm not really in the mood to do a big YouTuber intro today. Just know that in the description box you'll find everything you need to know. Without further ado, let's get into it. I apologize if the lighting is a little bit stranger than usual. It is monsoon season at the moment of me filming, and we are fully in the storms, in the rain, currently pouring down outside, and even though it's the middle of the morning, it feels like it's time to go to bed, so the lighting might be a bit different. I apologize. The first prompt that was given by Cassandra was, show us the tarot deck you're currently using. It is the Tildwick Tarot 10th Anniversary Edition. This I've been using pretty much all months of November. At the moment of me filming, like I said, we are like third week of November, so it's been a good 3 weeks already, and I have been really enjoying this one, but it has also been a huge surprise. So if you don't know the Tildwick, it's actually a very beloved deck in the community. It was a deck that was created originally 10 years ago, and then I believe there's been a few editions since. Here are the backs, by the way, and it is gold edged. The creator, I think, the original creator, I believe, for this deck sadly passed away, but I think his brother kind of took over and decided to continue making sure that his work could get out there. And so I think that's his brother who launched the 10th anniversary edition, which is the one I have. It looks like this, the box. I had pre-ordered it earlier in the year, and then I've received it not that long ago, and so I've been using it for the month of November. As you can see, this is a very particular deck. It's a very unique deck. It's actually all rooms or like parts of a house, so it looks very different. It doesn't look like your stereotypical RWS or toss or anything like that. It is its own unique system in a way. It was a huge surprise for me because I was convinced before having it in my hands. I was originally thinking that this was going to be a great deck for spirit readings, for like channeling and talking to you know, beloved deads or our ancestors or just people on the other side of the veil. But it turns out that this deck is not really interested to do that, and actually it's a lot more interested in giving you very practical material advice, which I guess, considering we're walking into different parts of rooms of a house, rooms in a house are very like tangible. It's a tangible thing, like the bedroom, the gardens, etc. So it makes sense in a way that this would be a very grounded deck, very grounded in reality and in day-to-day life and in practical things and material wealth and things like that. But it's not the original idea I had of the deck. Like, I thought, because of the very haunting images, because of the different rooms and haunted house vibes, that it would be more a deck inclined for spirit readings. I'm sure you could use it for spirit readings, but from using my own copy, doing an interview spread with it, and doing lots of different spreads with it, I have found that actually, for me, it sings better when I ask about day-to-day life, material things, projects, things like that. And this might be the best devil card ever, the devil as a mirror. hurt our feelings, but hey, it's true. It's true, we can't deny. So this deck has been a great surprise. Readings I've had have been really great. They've just been very different to what I expected. A lot more action driven, a lot more action oriented. I was like, it has more like pentacle / fire energy, whereas I originally thought it was going to be a very cups / a sword energy. So that's been interesting. The one thing that is honestly such a struggle is the guidebook, because first it's written super small, and I don't have bad eyesight really. I have glasses for when I read, but I don't even need to really wear them. It's just if I'm tired or I have headaches that I can wear glasses. But even for me, I'm like, holy shit, this is small, I need a magnifying glass. And on certain of the backgrounds, as you can see, like here, for example, on the dark background, I can read pretty well what it says. But on these ones, it is so hard, especially if you're using this like not in direct daylight, if you're at night or whatever, forget it. You won't be able to read what it says. Like here, for example, there is text here that's yellow. And so I wish they had written everything in white almost, because the titles are yellow, here it's yellow, the middle in white, and it's so hard for half of the page to actually understand what it says. Like I can't read that, you know, and it's a shame because I want to read it because it's interesting to me to understand the artistic choices and stuff. So honestly, the guidebook is, that's my only complaint. Like the content is so interesting, but the format so difficult to read. So the next prompt is show us your latest 5-star tarot deck. I decided to go at this thinking, okay, the latest deck I've tried, latest tarot deck at least, that first is definitely gonna make it in my top decks of the year, and second, that really has affected the way I look at certain cards. Like maybe it's given me new ways to think about death or judgment or the Three of Wands or whatever. And honestly, the most recent deck that's been doing that for me, and that I've not been able to shut up about, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this because I can't shut up about it on my stories and stuff, it's the Eldritch Overload Tarot by, who does this? It's a company that specializes in D&D stuff. It's Weird Works. This is a cyberpunk inspired deck. So it's fully fantasy, cyberpunk, futuristic vibes, but it's also a deck that is inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, because like I said, the company Weird Works, they do a lot of stuff around Dungeons and Dragons. First off, can we talk about those backings? Like, come on. There's like this little glitter holographic accents, and you have them on every single card. Like all of the cards have those accents, not just on the backs, on the fronts as well. So if you live for glitter like me, you're gonna be so happy. If you are a sourpuss and you don't like glitter, get a life. I'm joking. Edges are plain, which actually I really like, and the cardstock is nice, it's matte, and like I was saying, on every single card you'll see there is those like glitter accents, and they are part of the design, so that's what is, so it's really cool. And I think for a cyberpunk fantasy deck, it just makes so much sense to have this like holo vibe added to it. It's just a nice touch, but honestly, that's not really why it's 5-star. I mean, yes, it looks beautiful, and I love the colors, I love the artwork. It's futuristic, it's fantasy, it has a lot of elements of things that I love. I love fantasy decks anyway, but honestly, the representation of this, the world building of this, is what completely blew me over, and what is making this for me a 5-star, and definitely ranking this in my favorite decks that I've discovered this year. So like I was saying, you can see the Dungeons and Dragons inspiration from the fact that the different types of beings are represented. Like we have humans, we have dwarves and elves, and we have cyborgs and things. So if you already know a little bit about D&D, and I don't even play, I just watch D&D, like I watch Dimension 20, things like that, but I've never played, then you obviously recognize some little nodes to D&D. But even if you don't, and you don't know anything about it, which was my case at first, you won't have any problem enjoying it, because it's definitely also very fantasy oriented, and because the world building is so rich and makes so much sense. This is set in a futuristic era where humans are cohabiting with dwarves and elves and also cyborgs, and where technology is definitely taking over the world, and technology in all its good forms. Sometimes technology is there to help, and sometimes it's there to hinder. We can end up being completely like obsessed and maybe even addicted to it. some big corporations have taken over the world and are charging people for basic human needs. Rings a bell about day-to-day life. Yeah, I'm sure you can you can see the similitude between our current world and this. This is just pushed to the extra max fantasy level, but honestly, there's some truth in there, hidden of course. So I love the world building. I love that in every single card there is a lot of depth. Like at first I thought this was gonna be fun fantasy type, you know, futuristic, something for all of us sci-fi lovers, things like that. But turns out that it's a lot more clever than it appears. There are some cards that are a lot deeper and that hit a lot more than I was expecting. Like the death card, for example, it touches on police. There's a lot around surveillance and like big corporations and health, welfare, things like that. So there's a lot that goes in this deck that touches around societal issues that we face day to day. But this is taking it, putting it into a world that's imaginary, that's magical, that is strange and quirky, and I think it makes it very cool for us to be able to approach some of those more dire, but with this more fun sense of humor to it. So this blown up moon representing our fears, our inhibitions, our subconscious, wow, so good. On top of that, I've also been really enjoying D&D content this year. Like I said, I've never played, but I got into watching D&D this year, which has definitely like helped to make this more fun, because there are some nodes to D&D which I now understand, like the different beings, tieflings and dwarves and elves and all of that. There's like some nodes to some spells and maybe to some potions and things, and so it's been fun to notice those, but again, not necessary to understand the deck. It follows the RWS. The guidebook is cool, it's short and sweet, upwards and downwards meaning. I think you can get a larger book for this particular deck if you are wanting to get into the artwork and everything. I think they sold a larger book. I just got the deck and I'm super happy with it. Next up we have show us a deck you keep putting off using. This was interesting and a little bit difficult. I had to think, and then I realized, yeah, there's a deck that I've been wanting for ages. I bought it, and ever since I bought it, I haven't really been able to get into it. And that's I never know the name of this. The Carnival at the End of the World. This is a independently published tarot deck, and I even have the guidebook. So I've had this for I think like 6 months now, maybe even more. Gosh, maybe I even got this at the end of this last year. I can't even remember. Maybe it's even been a year. I don't know, you guys. What is time anyway? In my head, we're still in 2022 and we're about to go into 2024. Like, make it make sense. The math ain't mathing. I don't even know what the fuck is going on anymore. I'm just here for the ride. At the end of the day, you know, the world is not making sense to me anymore. But like I was saying, I've had this for a while and I've shuffled it. I've used it a few times. It's really cool and I want it for ages, but it just wasn't its time. Like, at the time when I first used it, I kind of like forced myself to, because it was just brand new and I was like, okay, you've been wanting to try this for ages, you should really try it. And I knew deep down it wasn't really the right time for me to like work with it, because I wasn't in the right mood or whatever it was. And I did some readings with it and it was fine, but it wasn't like, wow, this is blowing me away. Even though all the walkthroughs I've watched, all the reviews I've watched and everything, I was so certain that I was gonna be like instant connection. And ever since then I thought, okay, you know what, just put it down, and when you feel called to use it again, you will. I think I need to be in a specific mood to use this particular deck, because it's so weird, so quirky, and I think I can tell in my soul that it has something specific to tell me, but I don't know if I'm ready to hear it. Obviously I'm not, because otherwise I would have used it already. So I feel like I'm waiting for its time, and I'll know when it is, but right now it hasn't been, and that's okay. And you can't force yourself when it's like that, otherwise you're just gonna kind of ruin your chance at connecting with the deck altogether. The top of that, I have the guidebook, I have everything I need to read it and to get into it and to enjoy it, but I've just not been feeling cool to use it, even though I know that when I will, it's gonna be one that I feel like has a lot to teach me. Number 4, show us a deck you feel is underrated on TarotTube. Well, there are tons, and that's something I love talking about on my channel. I actually have made a whole series of videos around underrated decks, particularly mass market underrated decks. So I'll leave that in the cards. I'm continuing this series. I'm gonna continue making little videos. I show like 5-6 decks at a time of underrated hidden gems that I think more people should know about. So definitely check that out if you're into finding out more about underrated hidden gems. But for today, I wanted to talk about the uncommon tarot, because when I think underrated deck, this one always comes up, because I don't really see it used. I never see it on pick a cards. I don't really see it mentioned on people's videos, and yet it's so good. It's a mass market collage deck. There's not that many of those, and I've had this for at least 2-3 years. Like, I got it as soon as it came out, so I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021 or whatever. But at the time it cost me like maybe 20 euros. The artwork is gorgeous. There's lots of different ethnicities, ages. We have people from different places of the world. We have this beautiful collage style. It's full of intention. There's mix between like vintage paintings, vintage photography. It reads really well. It follows the RWS, but obviously it's doing its own thing with the collage. And I don't understand why it's not more shown, because this is one of the best collage decks out there, and it's mass market and very affordable. So I love this Chariot card. As we see in the Lovers, it was 2 male presenting figures. Like, there's lots of things here that are modern and that are relevant to our day-to-day, but the look of it feels timeless with the use of like traditional paintings and vintage photography, which is why I think so many people would enjoy it, whether you are into modern decks or whether you're into like more vintage traditional art style deck. This is really, for me, it does it all. Star card, it's just I think there's a couple of renaming. Mostly the Hierophant was renamed the Wise One. It's created, I believe, by a queer creator, so we love that. The guidebook was written by Teresa Reed, so I believe she's written lots of different books on tarot. And honestly, the guidebook, it's good. Like, for each of the card you have some keywords, general themes, and reversed keywords, but for the major arcana you also have some questions for each of the card that you could potentially journal about. So it's small, it's not like the best guidebook I've ever read, but it definitely does the job. I think this is massively underrated, but it's a deck I really enjoy. Last prompt already. I know I told you it was going to be short and sweet, but hopefully you'll enjoy spending this little time together. The last prompt is gonna be a tarot deck you think everyone should have. This was actually a lot harder than it sounds because I think I overthought about this at first. How can I choose a tarot deck that I think everyone should have when I know we are all so different? Right? First off, some of us use RWS or the Tarot de Marseille or Thoth, then or even playing cards, and then some of us like modern decks or fantasy decks, and some of us like art deck, like, or vintage looking decks. My problem is I like everything. My wallet is sad about that, but I like a lot of different styles. So my problem is not choosing a particular style, but I was like, I know some people out there have very specific aesthetic and taste, but I found one that I think everyone, regardless of your level of tarot, your taste, your affinity, whatever it is, I think everyone should have that and would enjoy it, and that is the Spread Machine Oracle. It's by Kimberly M. Tan. It's an indie oracle deck that you can use as an oracle deck or as a way to create spreads. And I believe, I really stand by this, that everyone, regardless of whether you use Tarot de Marseille, oracle decks, tarot like RWS, Thoth, whether you like using tarot or oracle decks, whether you're a beginner or you've been reading for 20 years, whether you read just for yourself or you read for others, or you even read professionally, it doesn't matter your levels, whatever your affinity, your taste, this would definitely change your practice or have an impact, and I think everyone could enjoy this. So big statement, I know, but that's the deck I decided to choose for a deck I think everyone would have. This was built for creating spreads, so as you can see, it's color coded. Every single color represents a different theme. We have the processing, the shadow work, we have some for light work, for success, we have some around focus areas, so you can use this particular deck for creating spreads, like I was saying. And for that, it's really good because on each card you have one main keyword, and then you have questions. And this is fantastic because you can use this for spread making, you can use this for journaling. All of this can be used to create spreads, but it's also a really good oracle deck in itself. And this has completely influenced my practice. It's something that I use every time I feel bored, every time I feel disconnected from my practice, every time I feel like I'm just I need to like I need to be pushed back on the path, right? I feel like I've lost my mojo, I've lost my juju. I go back to this again and again and again because it helps me find inspiration again, gives me ideas, gives me ways to think about how to approach my cards, regardless of whether you are a beginner and you've never used tarot before, or you are someone who's been pulling cards for 15 years. I believe that you could get something of use out of this, that this could actually have an influence of some sort, that it could either inspire you, or it could give you some ideas, or help you change the way you look at cards, and it's just really well done. So this is just really clever, it's a good tool, it's both an oracle and a spread making machine, and I think that even for people who don't even use spreads when they're reading, who read purely intuitively, there is something to be said about pulling 3 cards and thinking about what it means. And again, you don't even have to let them be very structured cages and boxes you force yourself to fit in, but you could still use this as a way to do a 3-card intuitive spread. It just gives you another layer, it just gives you something else to think about, and again, with a whole added layer of potentially journaling and all of that, there's so much you can do with this that I really believe a lot of people would enjoy it. So that's the deck I think everyone should have. And here we are, this was the end of this tag. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate you so much, and thank you so much to Cassandra for creating this tag. If you want to share the answers to the question in the comments, I would love to read you. Please feel free, and just be ready for the floodgates to be open and the content to be pouring, because you're going to be seeing a lot of me at the end of the year. I'm trying my hardest to make the end of the year the most magical for us, so there's going to be a lot of content coming from me. I'm so excited, and I hope that you will enjoy it, and I hope it can make the end of the year just more cheerful and joyful for all of us. So until then, thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you so much good vibes, and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!